everyone. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to have Dawn Taylor on the show today. Dawn is the professional ass kicker. I love that. She's also a hope giver. Um, Dawn is a life coach, strategist, a trauma specialist, and pretty much an all-around badass. Dawn's journey into helping others heal began when she took her own personal journey of recovery through the trauma she's experienced in her life, and she took it into her own hands and just like said, forget this, I want to live differently. So while she's sometimes unconventional, and I do know Dawn to be unconventional, which I love,
Yeah.
Dawn's strategic methods have helped hundreds of people heal from everything from child abuse to PTSD, severe anxiety, depression, the list goes on. Through working with Dawn, individuals figure out how to get where they want to be in life, and then inadvertently in business, or vice versa, in business and in life. Dawn believes in an open and honest communication, as well as taking a personalized approach to healing and personal growth. So, Dawn, let's start.
Yes.
You have had some crazy major challenges in life that a lot of us can't necessarily relate to, including myself. Everything from being sexually abused as a child to, oh my God, later in life having a brain aneurysm, and being through it. Here you are today. How did you develop? Like, what are the keys that you'd say that helped you develop the resiliency and honestly, like this love for life that literally shines through your eyes? How did you manage to do that, considering the life that you were handed? Like some people say, the cards you were given.
Right. One of the big things was I had hit rock bottom. I had hard hit rock bottom, and I was 28, and I was at a point where I'm like, I can't actually live through this anymore. And I used to describe it to people as my Mount Vesuvius of shit. And so yes, I use language, and even in coaching.
It's okay.
Right? I was like,
we're real here.
Okay, good. But I used to describe it to people as if you were driving down a street and you saw the most beautiful, perfect house with perfect gardens, perfect everything, beautiful weather, right? That was my childhood. I was raised in a lovely family and everything was good, but it was like these packages kept coming to the door, and I'd rip it open and it'd be like, oh, here's something I have to deal with. And right, like you said, and those were two out of many, from suicide attempts where I actually died and they had to revive me, to severe eating disorders, infertility, drug addiction. Like it's such a ridiculously large list, and it kept just piling and piling and piling and piling and piling. And so part of it is I don't think I had a choice. Right? The choice that I made was to not stop fighting, because I had this, somewhere inside of me was this belief that like there has to be more. There has to be more to life than this. But honestly, things just were piling on so hard and so fast that I never had time to catch my breath in between. And at 28, I caught my breath and was like, this is not okay. Like, I cannot keep living this life. And couldn't handle one more psychologist asking how it made me feel. Right? I came out of a brain aneurysm with a super masculine brain, and I was like, somebody tell me what to do. Somebody give me strategies, give me actual hands-on steps of like, tomorrow morning, this is the time I want you to wake up. This is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to eat, and what I want you to read, and what I want you to listen to, and this is what I want you to say. And I think that was part of it, and maybe what makes me very different than an average even coach is I totally get that feeling of don't make me create this on my own, because I actually don't have any of that in me right now. Right? So how do you gift somebody some of that? And yes, I know it breaks the rules in terms of like, oh, but you're not supposed to give advice, you're not supposed to do this or that. You know what? Sometimes that's actually what somebody needs. Yeah. They need to know that there's an action plan, and these are the steps you're going to go through, and this is how you're going to actually overcome. And as they get their legs underneath them, then I can pull back and allow them to thrive and build those muscles, right? And so it just became this year I gave myself 1 year to either figure out how to thrive and overcome or be done.
Mhm.
And I know that sounds dramatic. That's really where I was at. And so I started looking at the science behind it of like, how do you build resiliency? How do you overcome mass trauma? How do you rewire someone's brain? And that's really where it started. And so really, I think it was this little like tickle in me that was like, it's got to be better than this, right? Like there's got to be more to life than living in this state. And that's what just continued to push me forward.
So you do your therapy or your coaching a very
Yeah,
unconventional style. Can you tell us what
very.
that means exactly? Like, what would it look like for somebody if they were working through their own issues with you? What does it look like? Give me
Totally. So I have a 19-year-old that I coach, and I have permission to talk about any of these clients, but I have a 19-year-old that I coach. And we often talk while he's going for really long walks and smoking a joint, because that is what loosens him up and allows him to be vulnerable enough that he can actually talk.
Mhm.
I have clients that come and sit at a table in my office and play Lego because they need that. I have clients that we do all of our coaching over meal prep in my kitchen, making them food, even though they don't need meal prep or food, right? Because it's something that tangibly gives them something to grab onto. I also have a cathartic room in my office for people that need to really release emotion and they need to rage. And so I'm a very, very big believer in every single person is completely unique. Their healing journey is unique. Their story is unique. So how do you put someone into a box program,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Some
Like,
people need energy work and they need something way more like the woo-woo spiritual side of it, where the next person needs hardcore logic and they need that like battle almost of wills to like hash something through and dig through it. And it's so tied to everything from their religious beliefs to how they were raised to what their parents and grandparents were like to their careers to, right?
yeah.
And so that's where like I've walked around and caught Pokemon with clients before. I've
Okay.
I've kind of done it all, right? I have clients that I've talked to for 15 minutes 3 times a day for 4 years because that's what they needed as they're like decompress multiple times a day. But that's how we did it because that's what worked for their brain instead of your typical like 90 minutes a week or hour a week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I,
just look at it so different.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true. We try to cookie cutter people and have coaching programs that are going to work for everyone. And
Right?
me too, I've never found that works. I need custom because I'm unique. It's just like all of us are unique and depending on where we are in our lives. So I love that you offer that. So as you know, I am the CFO. I'm the Chief Fun Officer. So
Totally.
I would love to tie this idea in because part of what I do is basically redefine the word fun and what it means in people's lives rather than it be something frivolous. I
Yeah.
feel like this healing journey that you went on for yourself and then that you now help your clients go on, I feel like there's an element of fun there because for me, my life now after healing, some healing, I always think there's always more,
Yeah.
has been way more fun. Oh my goodness, it's way more fun to live like this and have this acknowledgement and awareness of who I am and where I'm going and what I want in life. How would you say you could, tie in that concept that it's going to be fun to heal? I mean, I love that you cook with some of your clients and that it doesn't have to be, to me, that is fun.
Yeah,
You're like, I'm just
totally.
gonna make this a fun journey because it fucking sucked that you, oh, excuse me,
No, it's okay. I like that word.
asterisk. It really sucked that this trauma happened to you, but people that go for therapy for years, it's like so serious and sad. Oh God. But I feel like you actually already have this element. Tell me how that kind of ties in.
Well, I always laugh because it's it's fun and it's not. I was working with one client and she's like, "You are such a comedian working on like the hardest garbage of my life." And I mean, I just laughed and I was like, "Yeah, but sometimes we have to laugh at our own ridiculousness,
Yeah.
right?" at how horrible our lives were. And so is it fun to do the work? No, I'm not gonna say that it's fun, right? Like I always joke that it's kind of like ripping off a body-sized band-aid at times. Right? Whereas like it hurts, but man, like when it's off, the feeling of relief, right? And there's so much beauty on the other side of it that people can't even fathom.
Yeah.
Right? Like life is here now and they're like, yeah, it's good. And it's like, oh, but man, you like rip that away. Great is so much better. And so that aspect of it, if you can look at it as like, I'm not broken, I'm not damaged, I'm not ruined, I'm not any of those things. Let's just like pry it open. Let's like pry open my head and my heart and figure out what's actually going on, rearrange things, work through things, you know, and heal stuff. It's a completely different way to look at it.
And it's a different way to get to that other side where you can have joy and lightness and fun in your life. I think it's like that.
You can have so much more fun when you dealt with your trauma.
Yeah, exactly. And if you invest in yourself in that way to go through the process of healing. Well, and what you remind me of a little bit is a comedian, really, because comedians, what they do is they look at life and the irony of it and the difficulties of it and I want to say like the chaos of life, and they make fun of themselves. They make fun of everything that's going on because sometimes it just feels good to laugh about it, you know, that it happened, that it's like, you know, I sometimes, even for me, on the worst days of like my life, when I'm like, nothing else can go wrong, and then like all the groceries fall on the ground, what can you do except laugh?
I always tell people, you're either going to laugh or cry.
Right. And I feel
right. And I'd way rather giggle.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think that working with you, I can just imagine that you're going to bring out the tears and you're going to go through that, but you're also going to laugh at the end, and there's going to be a lot
100%.
Dawn, I want to ask you, it's a bit of a trend right now for healing, and when you're getting, when you're getting to this place in your life where you want to start living differently, people are talking about, well, all you have to do is be positive, or all you have to do is, you know, start a gratitude journal, and then everything will change.
Sorry, can you see my thoughts on this on my face? I'm like,
yeah. I think that especially for the people out there dealing with mental health right now and who have been through trauma or traumatic events, like I think we all have on some level, what would you say to that kind of thought?
So let's backtrack for a second and even explain what trauma is. Trauma is really any sort of environment, emotion, event that happened that did like a hard pivot in your life, right? Where you were like going down a path, something happened, and now you're going in a different direction. So it can even just be an emotion, right? But it's something that like at a cellular level completely shifted you and created a whole new belief system for you.
I'm really glad you said that, because there are a lot of people and a lot of clients that would say, well, I've never been through something traumatic, I don't need Dawn's help. Like they think as like the extreme, well, I've been raped, or I've had PTSD, or I went to war, or, you know,
totally
crazy. But I'm really glad you said that. So thank you for the listeners out there who were saying in their heads, oh, she's a trauma specialist, that's me. Maybe
no, it's so different, right? My niece hasn't been through any of that stuff, and yet she had a weird leg pain that nobody could figure out for years, and it was traced back to a conversation that she overheard, a situation when she was 5. Right? Like we think of it as these huge things, but really it's not, right? It could have been a conversation that triggered this complete feel of rage towards being unwanted because of something that happened on a playground. Well, now this is a limited belief that you're unwanted. This has been neurologically wired into your head. This is now the filter you're doing everything through.
Yes.
Right? So now you're looking at anything and everything in life as proving or disproving that you're unwanted.
Yeah.
Right? This is what I'm talking about when it comes to trauma. Yes, also the people that have been raised in cults, and the people that have dissociative disorder, and the people that have been raped, and the people that have dealt with the crazy, 100%, that's my jam, right? But it can be something just as detrimental to someone's health that was considered so much more mild, right? So multiple pieces to the whole, like, be positive and have gratitude.
Yeah, go for it.
Right? I am a really big believer in, yes, we need to find the positive in life. We have to. We absolutely have to. But I think it's more in a way of like, how do we shift our perspective to be able to even see something positive in a situation?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not just the, I am so grateful for my job. I am so grateful for all the money in my bank account. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that it comes across in this really flimsy cotton candy way where it's like, have gratitude. If you just have gratitude, you're fine. And it's like, no, because you have to be able to unpack both sides of it. You know what? These are the things today that really fucking sucked. Excuse the language, but your little asterisks there, right? Like, these are the things that were really, really bad. But you know what? In spite of that, look at the things today that went really good.
Mm-hmm. So
Right?
that's the shift. It's in spite of that. So it's acknowledging that these negative things happened in my life, and okay. And
And
correct me if I'm wrong, but what I would do is say, oh, these things happen, acknowledge it, don't judge it, don't try to make it go away, don't just accept it, and then go, oh, but what else happened today? Would you say that's what you're saying?
100%. You have to be able to acknowledge both.
Yeah, agreed.
Right?
I am sad today, and it's okay that I'm
You're
sad.
allowed.
What can I be happy about anything? Right? That's more the
Right?
shit. Yeah, than trying
Totally.
to ignore the shit that happened.
Right? And I think that's where often it comes across is, and I get a lot of that from my trauma clients, right? Where they're like, if one more person tells me just to have gratitude in a moment, I'm gonna scream. And I'm like, okay, you don't have to be grateful for anything that happened today.
Mm-hmm.
But what in your day was actually okay?
Yeah.
What is one thing that happened today that like you thrived in? What is one thing that happened today that made you giggle? Yeah. What is one thing that happened today that you're like, I'm going to grab onto that and I'm going to cling to it for all it's worth?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's what's going to give me the guts. That's what's going to give me the strength. That's what's going to give me the power to get through till tomorrow. Because sometimes that's all it is. And that's what you need is just like that one little glimmer of hope. Right? And by saying just have gratitude and you're going to overcome. Yes, gratitude has scientifically been proven to shift how you think. But it's not just having gratitude, it's being able to train your brain to see gratitude even in the garbage.
Yeah. Well, and that's
right?
so similar to people that would say to me, how do you just have fun? You can't just have fun. I'm not even happy. How can I have fun? And that's the switch too. It's like, you know what? Actually, you can find ways to have fun even when you're not happy. It's about not chasing happiness. It's about consciously going, what would be fun for me today? Maybe it's putting on a pair of rubber boots and jumping in puddles. Maybe it's calling up a friend that I haven't talked to for a long time. Like, what is actually going to be enjoyable and bring joy to my life, even though I feel crappy. And it's okay that I feel crappy. So yeah, I love that. I love that shift in thinking. That's really, really great.
I do a lot of thought shifting with people. Mm-hmm. And my big thing, like, I love to train people how to do that, right? Mm-hmm. Is like, it's like, awesome. You're having a really crappy moment. My clients always laugh and they're like, seriously? And I'm like, no, let's break this down.
Yeah.
Let me teach you how to shift that.
Yeah.
Right. I always get told I'm working myself out of a job because that's like my goal. My goal is to have people not need me forever. Right. It's like, I want to create you as the superhero in your own rescue so that you own the entire thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to guide you, but I'm going to teach you the strategies to do it. I'm going to teach you the skills to do it. That's what gets me going in the morning.
That's what's so unique. And that's why I love you too. So,
thank you.
And I do think it's unique. And I think people are looking for somebody that's not, like a therapist who you just keep going to and keep talking about your problems over and over. And really there's no strategies on how to get out of it. So, on that note, how can individuals today, like the people who are watching this, I know it's still COVID times and people are, they're self-sabotaging, they're caught up in the negativity, they're caught up in everything. And it's possibly one of the hardest times in life to actually find the silver linings because, they may have lost their jobs, their business is shut down, they haven't seen their families, a family member has died in the hospital, whatever has happened.
Scary times.
It is scary times, and there still is a huge element of that, though, that's a choice on how you're going to live and
100%.
what your perspective is going to be on the stuff that's happening. How can individuals stop this self-sabotage and this bullshit story, this year, and really, really thrive in life moving forward?
Yeah.
What would you say?
So you know what? Like fundamentally, it comes down to like starting to make a different choice now.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a friend this morning, and we were laughing about it because I was like, "How was 2020?" And she kind of did this, like she did like a look around to make sure no one's listening, and she's like, "It was so good."
Yes, that's awesome.
And I was like, "Tell me," I'm like, "Tell me everything that you thrived in, every single thing that went amazing this year." And she was laughing about it, but she goes, it's what you and I've talked about so many times is get up, set an alarm. Doesn't matter if you have to go to work or not. Get up in the morning at a regular time. Get yourself onto routine. Anyone who's raised a child knows that kids thrive on routine. Guess what? We're just bigger kids.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Put on some damn pants. Stop wearing yoga pants and pajamas all day. Right? Like, do your hair, do your makeup, even if it's for nobody but your dog or your kid or your own self in the mirror when you walk down a hallway. Right?
Yep.
Set that up for yourself, because immediately that's going to start to shift your perspective. Immediately that's going to start to shift how you're thinking and feeling. Right? One of the things is we all do the exact same thing when we're in a negative state, right? We all curl, right? People that are depressed, people that are having anxiety, people that are sad, we just do this, right? Here's one of the biggest problems right now is like, check out my chair. How is it designed? To curl you. Right? Literally.
Yeah.
But do you see how I'm sitting forward? Because I never lean back into it. And that's one of the reasons is when you're curled into that fetal position, right? It feels safe, but it also is so damaging for you psychologically. Guess what our couches do? They do that. They literally curl us to make us feel comfortable and safe. Right? So get off your damn couch.
Yeah.
Right? Or put a pillow behind your back so you're sitting straight.
Yeah.
Right? And then really like start looking at like what your habits are. If your entire life is getting up in the morning, going to the kitchen, grabbing a coffee and hitting the couch to Netflix all day, right? With like going back to the kitchen for food, back to the couch, back to the kitchen, switching to wine by 2:00 in the afternoon, right? And sorry, I'm judging and I'm calling out everybody right now who's done this over the last year.
Yeah,
I am.
I would say it's applicable to all the people like myself who have been also on the total opposite end of the spectrum and working 24/7. And work has never ended because now they're at home and they can work 24/7 and the boss is just like
100%.
And it's for them, their habit changes. Holy crap, I got to get up, but I also have to set the clock at 4 p.m. Like I'm done. And I have time for myself.
100%. And so it's learning how to like divide those two spaces in your world, right? So like, when is work time? When is home time? Right? When is hobby time? Even if you're in a space. I had a friend I was talking to this last week and I'm like, girl, you need to rearrange all your furniture in your condo. And she's like, what? I was like, you're 20 floors up, have not left your condo in a year. You're working and living and exercising and painting and like you're doing everything in one space, right? And I was like, I want you to spend like 2 days, turn everything else off and spend 2 days rearranging all of your rooms and your furniture. She sent me a message on Monday morning and she's like, I had no idea the difference that alone would make for me. It feels like I live in a new space. It's shifted all the energy in the space.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm looking at different things every day, like little things like that. And get the hell off the news and your Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and Snapchat and Twitter and shut it down.
Yeah. Build your relationship.
Shut it down.
And get out in nature and just try something.
Totally.
John, you are known for saying this quote, how can I love you more? Can you explain to me how you use that in your practice and what exactly it means to you? I'm going to say it again for our listeners.
How can I love you
more?
even more right now?
Yeah.
That's it all the time.
Yeah.
It is, one of the things is it's telling somebody, I already love you. What we're already doing is out of love. How can I love on you even more? Right? So we were talking about me being unconventional. One of the things that I've always done is I always have extra food in my fridge. I always have extra freezer meals in my freezer. I always have super healthy cookies baked and ready to go for people. It's these silly little things. But when someone is really hurting or someone's having a really bad day or they're super overwhelmed, and I can look at someone and go, how can I love you even more right now?
Yeah.
Right? It's how can I love on you? What do you need? What specifically can I do to make you feel that even more loved?
Well, and I think that's part of your
Right?
genius is being able to tap into a person and know what they need. I mean, the whole idea of your healing home is just that. It's opening your space up, sharing your space, and if it requires, cooking together or whatever, like you said, you have um, so many different ways you can work with somebody. Tell us a little bit more about healing home, and that I know that includes it's going and actually working with you and living with you. Tell me a bit about
I know, it's just kind of crazy.
yeah. And also we should tell people that where you're located, just so they know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I'm located just north of Duncan in the Cowichan Valley on Vancouver Island in Canada. And my husband and I, in the middle of a global pandemic, decided to uproot our lives and our home and everything else and open a healing home. And so what that means is we're on this beautiful 1.5 acres. There's this beautiful creek running through it. There's flower cutting gardens and trees and nature, and it's so beautiful. Fire pits and everything you can imagine for a nature oasis to escape life. And it's right on the edge of town, right? So you still have access to whatever you need. And what my dream is I want people to feel so seen, heard, and healed, right? And with that, to be able to escape their life, escape their triggers, escape whatever it is that's going on, and just come and like immersion style be loved and cared for. And so there's a 1-bedroom, beautiful luxury suite, full kitchen, dining, living room, bedroom, bathroom, and windows and bright and airy and your own patio and everything. And it's being set up so that people can actually come and stay in it and then also do work with me at the same time. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be kind of multiple options. There's up to a 23-day stay with shorter packages as well. And then for now with COVID, we're also just going to Airbnb it as like a healing oasis to go away to if you need a break from life, aside from the personal coaching, because we can't right now.
And what's the age? But what if people wanted to send their children or their teenagers? Is that an option? I'm just curious if you have.
Yeah, for sure. So I do work with kids as young as the age of 12. I love working with teens, especially. With that, the thing would be like they would have to have a parent, mm-hmm. right? Just because it comes, then there's like liabilities and all kinds of things with that. So like there would have to be a parent there for that. But anyone like 18 and older, come on down.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a space though for them to come where they can just fully immerse themselves in their work. And the way the programs are built is the majority of people with trauma have also become entrepreneurs because that's what we do, because we don't like to have a boss, right? Because we don't like to be told what to do. So there's time to still, run your business and deal with follow-up emails and deal with what you need to deal with. At the same time as you're immersed in nature and waterfalls and creeks and rivers and oceans and mountains and all of these things, and really like immersive, like crazy immersive style coaching where it's like, no, let's just dig in and reach through this. And one of the really cool things is that because I'm upstairs, mm-hmm. if somebody is all of a sudden triggered, if all of a sudden something's going on, they send a quick text and I can be with them that fast.
Yeah.
Right? So they're not waiting another 3 to 5 days or 7 days or 10 days for the next session. It's like, no, 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 what's going on right now? Let's do this. Let's dig in and do the work.
Yeah.
And so it would be a singular stay, one person at a time, unless it's a couple coming to do work together, or like a group of girlfriends that are all like, hey, we all want to deal with some of these same issues. Can we do that? Yes, there's always options for that. I'll customize packages. But yeah, it's getting people out of their lives so that they can actually just like dive right in. Instead of doing the typical like, log on for your coaching session, and in the background your emails are going 100 million miles a minute, and you're stressing out about everything that's coming in, and your phone is binging and all this stuff's happening.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, my hour's up. Okay, now I got to go right back to work.
Yeah.
Right? Which allows for way faster healing.
Yeah.
Way faster healing just because of how it's being done, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And we're just out of time, but I wanted to just direct people. I know you've written an autobiography and that you have these services available. And if people want to find you, you can email Dawn at hello@thetaylorway.ca. Her website is thetaylorway.ca, and all the information can be found there. And of course, you can always find her through me if you need to get a hold of her. And I know that Dawn and I will be talking further. So before we go, Dawn, I have to do this little activity. So we do a fast round of questions.
Fun. Love it.
The 2 minutes fast round, answer as many as you can in the short time of 2 minutes. So here we go.
All right.
Tell me one thing you love about yourself. I'm timing you.
My smile.
What's something that you do differently than most people?
Everything.
I love it.
Memory and food. Food is a big one. Really weird.
Food she does differently. Okay. Can you think of a time, a specific time, when the impossible became possible?
Having a brain aneurysm and told it was a 1 in 750,000 chance I would survive. And I was told that I would never have a memory, like all these crazy things that were supposed to come out of it, and sitting here today.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
When do you feel most like yourself?
With my husband.
So nice. What's the most valuable life lesson you learned from your parents?
Independence.
You're like the best at this ever.
Oh.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to just be a way cooler human.
I love it.
I don't want to like age in your typical like elderly way. Yeah. I just want to continue to just be me and real and authentic and not become jaded. Yeah.
Cool. What is the song that gets you on the dance floor every time, no matter what?
Oh. Uptown Funk You Up.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh,
yep.
Funk You Up. Okay.
Funk You Up.
Okay. If you could relive one day of your life, which day would it be and why?
The day that I felt calm for the first time since the brain aneurysm, and it was last May. I can be really specific. It was the Friday afternoon before Mother's Day last May, and I was in New York with a client, and I was walking in like Friday rush hour Columbus Circle, and I've always felt like I just like vibrate, and so I really struggled to relax and calm down, and that's been since the aneurysm. And I stood there on the street corner and burst into tears because I felt the calmest I've ever felt in my entire life. And if I could relive that day over and over and over, I would.
Would just do that. Sorry, my timer's going. Time's up. So last question. In one word, what do you want to be remembered for?
Giving a shit. Hyphenate those.
Giving a shit?
Yeah.
She gave a shit. Love it.
Just for loving people really hard.
Loving people really hard. I really like that. That's really cool.
Yeah. More than one word, but.
Thank you so much to Dawn for joining us today. Again, it's the thetaylorway.ca, and I'm Rebecca Binnendijk. I'm your CFO, your Chief Fund Officer, and thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
See you later.